This is Terry Swoop, and this is Real Talk. As black people, we should be just as outraged by black gangs killing black kids as we are about white cops killing black kids. Every year there's about 3 or 4 cases where a white cop kills a black person. But there's 3 or 4,000 cases of black gangs killing thousands of black kids. And a lot of these so-called black leaders don't say anything when black gangs kill black kids. 15-year-old honor student Demisio Bailey was shot and killed by a black gang. This was a young, educated, young black man. And they killed him because he refused to join the gang. You're not going to see any protests for Demisio Bailey. You're not going to hear his name in the news media because nobody gives a damn when black gangs kill black kids. And this is the biggest problem. The same thing with Antonio Smith. This is another young boy that was shot and killed by a black gang. This is a 9-year-old young boy. He was killed because he refused to be the lookout for one of their drug buys in the Chicago area. But you're not going to hear any protests for Antonio Smith. And this is the biggest problem I have with a lot of these pro-blacks. They want to say Black Lives Matter, but why don't Black Lives Matter when a black person takes that black life? Why does a black life only have value if it's killed by a white person? It's almost like if you're killed by another black person, nobody gives a damn. The media doesn't report it. None of the black leaders speak out against it. It's completely ignored. But if you're killed by a white person, you're all of a sudden become a hero, a media sensation. This is how hypocritical the media is. And this is also how hypocritical a lot of these black leaders are, like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. They don't give a damn about black people. The only thing they care about is promoting an agenda. Promoting an agenda that's going to make them money. And that agenda is promoting the victim mentality. You can't play the victim when a black person kills a black person. But when a white person kills a black person, they can make money off that. They can profit off of that. And this is why when black gangs kill thousands of black kids, it's completely ignored. And any black person that's brave enough to speak out against black on black crime, they're called a sellout and a coon. They're called a race traitor. Because a lot of these black militants, they believe in the no snitch code. They believe when a black person kills a black person, everybody should stay quiet. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Because if you're saying Black Lives Matter, shouldn't all black lives matter? It shouldn't just matter when they're killed by a white person. All black lives should matter no matter who kills that black person, whether it's a white person or a black person. This is how hypocritical a lot of these pro-blacks are. Now, I'm not saying let's ignore police brutality. I'm not saying let's ignore white cops killing black kids. Because I think Darren Wilson should have been prosecuted. I thought Michael Brown's shooting was unjustified. I thought Eric Gardner's death was unjustified. I thought both of these cops in both of these cases should have been charged and prosecuted. But at the same time, I think we need to look at the bigger picture. Black gangs are killing 100 times more black people than white cops are. But a lot of these pro-blacks will rather focus on these 3 or 4 cases a year where a white person kills a black person, instead of calling out the terrorists in our own community, instead of calling out these gangs that are terrorizing the black community. When I walk down the street, I'm not worried about being harassed by white people. I'm worried about being harassed by these ignorant thugs who are terrorizing the black community, who are killing black children every day, who are murdering and slaughtering black people every day. Darian Albert was beaten to death on video by a black gang. And I remember when this happened, the only reason it got so much attention because it was captured on video. They were hitting this boy with 2x4s, beating this boy to death. And like I said, the only reason it got so much attention is because it was captured on video. It was posted all over World Star Hip Hop. It was everywhere. But there still wasn't no protest. There still wasn't no outrage from the media. Al Sharpton never said anything. Jesse Jackson never said anything. And this is the biggest problem I have with a lot of these hypocrites. If you're going to say Black Lives Matter, you should be just as outraged by black gangs killing black kids as you are by white cops killing black kids. A lot of these pro-blacks don't realize their own hypocrisy. They don't realize their own contradictions. Because unlike them, I'm just as sad by these young black boys being killed like Antonio Smith and Demisio Bailey as I am about Michael Brown's death and Eric Garner's death. I'm just as outraged by all their deaths because all their lives are just as important as the other. We shouldn't just say a black life doesn't matter if you're killed by another black person. But that's how a lot of these pro-black militants think. They only want to be outraged if you're killed by a white person. But they completely ignore if you're killed by a black gang. And that's the biggest problem I have with these fucking hypocrites. These hypocrites don't give a damn about black people. In my personal opinion, they're the real coons in the black community. Because if you're going to play the no snitch code when a black person kills a black person, then you don't care about black life. You don't give a damn about black kids being killed if you're going to play the no snitch code every time a black person kills a black person. But you only want to speak out when a white person kills a black person. Black gangs kill more black people than any white supremacist group. They kill thousands of black people every year. And the reason why nothing has changed, the reason why there hasn't been any change whatsoever, is because there's too many black people that are afraid to speak out against black on black crime. Because they're afraid of being called a sellout or a coon. In my personal opinion, we need better black leadership. We need stronger black leadership. Because when I look at these clowns like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, these are not real black leaders. These are false prophets. And we need to stop following these false prophets. We need stronger black leadership in the black community that are going to call out the terrorists that are destroying the black community. Because a lot of these pro-black militants, they just want to sit back and say everything is the white man's fault instead of talking about the terrorists and the thugs that are terrorizing the black community. And like I said earlier in the video, I'm not saying let's ignore white cops killing black kids. I'm saying we need to be just as outraged by black gangs killing black kids as we are by white cops killing black kids. Because there's 10 times more black kids being killed by black gangs. And I think the only way you're going to stop police brutality, there needs to be more change. We need better leadership. We need to start voting in people in office that are going to change the system. So when I see a lot of these pro-blacks who don't vote, who go election after election without voting, if you're not going to vote to put people in office that are going to change the system around, then you have no room to complain. If you want to change the system, you have to get people in office who are going to change the system for what it is. But in my personal opinion, I don't blame the government. I don't blame the white man. I blame us as black people for not taking back our community. We allow these ignorant thugs to terrorize our black community and don't say anything. The only way we're going to take back our community, we need more fathers in the household. Black men need to take back their households. And we need to start teaching these boys self-responsibility. Pull your pants up, get your education, and learn how to be a man. Because a lot of these young, ignorant thugs, they don't understand money. They don't understand real manhood. And that's the biggest problem. You have these single mothers raising these young boys. And that's why a lot of these boys walk around acting so ignorant. Because they never had a man to teach them how to be a man. The single mother epidemic has destroyed the black community. Unless we get black men back in the head of the household, black men taking care of their kids and raising these boys to be real men, nothing is going to change. The only way it's going to change, we have to change it as black men. We have to take back our households as black men. That's the only way it's going to change. If you go back 50 years ago in the 1960s, you didn't have blacks killing blacks. We were a united people. 90% of black kids in the 1960s were raised in a two-parent household, in marriage. And that's what we need to get back to. Until we rebuild the black family with two-parent household, in marriage, that's the only way you're going to improve the black community. By rebuilding the family. And the only way you're going to have a strong black family, you have to have the black man at the head of the household. Even lions in the wild realize that you have to have a king in order to raise a pride. You can't have a pride without a king. Even lions in the wild realize this. That American blacks don't realize. They think you can do this with a single mother, with this single mother epidemic. And this is why these boys are so messed up. This is why these young boys are so feminized. Walking around acting like women. The only way this is going to stop, we have to take back our households as black men. We need to be the head of the households. We need to set the rules in the black family. And let these young boys, let these boys know who's boss. That's the only way this ignorant behavior is going to stop. A lot of people have different opinions about this topic. Leave a comment, rate, and subscribe.